Minns väl inte den androgyne Ziggy Stardust eller The Thin White Duke. I kvällens program visar han upp ytterligare ett ansikte. Och frågan är om det här är den sanna Bowie.
I think music was just my chosen art form. I mean, it would have been painting had I not had some ability for music. And I just turned my hand to music because it seemed sociologically the art form of the late part of the 20th century. There really isn't a barricade up for me anywhere. If I want to do some kind of musical form that's different to the last one I did, I see no reason why I shouldn't. Because generally, I think the subject matter has always come back to the singular question of nearly every artist, which is what's my relationship with the universe? Whatever other form it takes, that's basic. I think that's probably the essential question that all of us ask ourselves. Many years ago, and he'd introduced me to Lester's work. So throughout the 80s, there was this nagging idea that somewhere in time, I wanted to work with Lester on trumpet, and this really was the opportunity to work with him. So I suggested to Niall that we try Lester out and see if he wanted to do the thing. And he came in to do one track called Don't Let Me Down and Down. And he was such a blast, he was so great to work with that we just kept him on. And he worked through 5 or 6 tracks. And for me, I needed that counterpoint to my own vocals. And I'd used saxophone in several of the songs, but I needed another instrument, and trumpet was my option. I've always been incredibly fortunate about the guitar players that I've worked with. Bronson, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Earl Slick, and more recently, Reeves Gabrels. Around '88, I met Reeves Gabrels, who became part and parcel of Tin Machine. We wrote a song together, initially to record with Tin Machine, but it never worked out satisfactorily. So it got shelved. I couldn't have my way musically with anything. I mean, I had to sort of just throw my opinion in with all the others, and sort of this collective decision came down, and I had to abide by it all. And that whole period for me, Tin Machine was a really invigorating value finder for me, musical values that I'd long since forgotten about, or indeed had even cared about. It was called You've Been Around. And when I was putting my solo album together, I resurrected that particular piece and rewrote it. And what I like about it is the fact that for the first half of the song, there's no harmonic reference. It's just drums, and the voice comes in out of nowhere, and there's sort of, you're not sure if it's a melody line or a drone or whatever, and there's a really ominous feel to it that I like a lot. But one of the most satisfying things about making that particular track was working with Reeves on it, because I had the chance, as it was my album, not Tin Machine's, to mix Reeves way into the background, so I knew that that would doubtlessly really irritate him, which indeed it did. I'm always drawn to the enigmatic, and I think giving too much away within a piece of music, it's important to make it textural, and it's the texture of the song, for me, which almost comes above the lyrical content. The sex is in the rhythm. And being a very sexual person, that's very important for me, that it moves me.
Depressed by pleasure of being. It's too many lonely nights. I can't tell bad from wrong. I can't pass you by. To exchanging. You've been around, but you've changed me. Where the flesh meets the spirit world, where the traffic is thin, I slip from a vacant view. I should have thought of that. And the sound of tomorrow, like a black-hearted violin, like the silence of tension. It's too many lonely nights. I can't tell good from bad. I can't pass you by. To exchanging. You've been around, but you've changed me. You've been around, and pass you by. You've been around, but you've changed me. Changed me. To exchanging. You've been around, but you've changed me. You've been around, can't pass you by. You've been around, but you've changed me. You've been around, can't pass you by. You've been around, but you've changed me.
The eyes are a lot hungrier than the ears, and I think that when something is presented at a theatrical level, that's the foremost impression that is made. And the more cerebral aspects of one's work, which go in through the ears, often take a secondary situation. I was a child of the 60s. We were taught then by our peers and our generation, or that generation that was just above me, that we should question all the established values, all the taboos, and that the one thing that we must continually search for was a sense of self and a sense of expanding our horizons. So for me, the sense of exploration was terribly exciting, and it was like breaking taboos. I didn't get into drugs properly and in an orderly fashion until I came to America, which was I started living here in 1974. And then by the 76 period, I was through mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. I was an absolute shell. And that's when the realization dawned on me that I really had to get out of drugs. And it took me the rest of the 70s in Europe, back in Europe again, to get myself somewhere near a rational, healthy being again.
God was on top of it all.
been more of a fan of rock music than an actual participant sometimes. I've always covered other writers, singers' songs on my albums. On this album, I cover a song by Scott Walker. Scott Walker was part of a trio, expatriate Americans that came over to Europe and became a huge wow in the, I think, probably early 60s. I went out with a girl who went out with Scott Walker. She preferred Scott Walker to me, and at night I had to listen to all his songs, night after night. She wouldn't play my music. But it did leave with me a great love for his voice. Then in the late 70s, after Eno and I had done Low and Heroes, as Eno says, music is an area where you can crash your plane and walk away from it. You can make the mistakes that you can't make in real life. Scott Walker brought out the most extraordinary album of his own songwriting, quite the most lovely songs that I'd heard in years. Night Flights is one of them.
Only one way to go.
I never really saw the change aspect of what I do quite as prominently as everybody else. I think more has been made of it because, in a superficial manner, the costumes have changed over the years. But I think, for me, there's always been a thread of merely a search going on. And I'm not sure that there is an artist who's true to himself that doesn't search in his own way. Cher I adored, from what I remember. Again, I was wearing Sears Roebuck and out of my mind. Yeah, I went and bought my outfit in Sears Roebuck that afternoon. I thought, well, I won't be theatrical. I'll wear something that people in the street wear. They go to Sears Roebuck, so I went to Sears Roebuck and bought my outfit. But the fact is, you don't leave White Plains, go to Turkey hoping to find White Plains. You go there because it is Turkey. Went through the whole of the early 70s up to about 74, where I realized that it was no longer something I was comfortable with, that my true self was I was a closet heterosexual. And that sort of made itself very apparent after that period. But during that early period, I found it incredibly stimulating to be in those worlds that weren't really mine, but I wanted to really become part of, for however briefly it was going to be. And that was also one of the reasons why I declared my bisexuality at the time. Because at no point in my life did I want anybody rushing out of the woodwork and saying, oh, he used to be. So I thought, oh, well, I just, say what I'm going through right now. We had our predecessors of this kind of, I guess, at the time it was androgynous quality. People like Syd Barrett from Pink Floyd, who was this kind of almost whimsical presence on stage. And the first rock performer that I saw wearing makeup. And I thought that was extraordinary. Like the 50s rock people, and even Presley used to wear lots of mascara and eyeshadow and stuff like that, dyed his hair and things. But it was to develop a kind of a Renaissance, kind of almost Greek god look. In England, there was a sense of trying to become other, develop an otherness that happened in English rock. Because the American thing was always where one of the people were just like, hey, Americans. I can't hammer on about the Americans. No, it's so unfair. But there was a sense of, the very esoteric quality. And we in the medical profession call it pretentiousness. It's the sense of aristocratic overview that English tend to have over everything. If they don't find it, they make it English. Interestingly enough, a lot of the British in rock came out of art school. I think a lot of them were painterly in their approach to making music. I wanted the music to look like it sounded, and so that gave me really a springboard to kind of designing something that had very strong theatrical elements to it. Especially in the more kind of enigmatic pieces, I'm trying to articulate that which we don't usually articulate, or kind of those mysterious corners of the mind where there exist grains of truth that we don't often touch on, because we have no access to them, because we don't have the words to capture them. Then I met Iman, and then we decided to get married. And then this one incident took place where we wanted to have a kind of a ritualistic, romantic wedding. I say ritualistic because both of us are very spiritually oriented, but we're not religious. Because of the Islam side of our marriage, I wanted something that reflected that, so some of the melodies became very Middle Eastern in that way. And I was juxtaposing that against a fairly solid Protestant ethic kind of feel on the church organ. I really started thinking about why I was getting married. And at my age, nearly 47, if it was something I truly wanted, and where I was going to go with it, and what I could do for her, and how I could be some kind of valuable contribution to a relationship, whether I wanted to have more children, if I was going to be a good enough father, what I could do to change my... All these questions that should go through a guy's mind before he gets married. And it brought me to a step where I really had to do some very intensive internalization and really question my judgments and my values. And that singular instance got me off on writing solo material. We were talking about Black Tie, White Noise. Black Tie, White Noise was written because of the riots in LA. For me, popular music doesn't create any new values. It merely reflects the ones that society holds true at the time. It did occur to me that initially in the great civil rights marches of the 60s, there was some feeling that real progress would be made. But when it became more and more evident that the only way that the white middle-class society was willing to accept equality with blacks at that time was if they became white. And that, I think, soured the whole of the civil rights movement to a greater, lesser extent. And we've now got to a point where black and Hispanic communities are no longer oppressed. They're just totally ignored. To cap that, we can, and should, to be more positive, I think we will head toward equality. I just feel that integration will take a lot longer because there are so many forces working against it. And the only way to overcome that is to be aware of it. I think we have to be honest with ourselves and know that there is no desire on the greater part of Western society for integration. If we can accept that and then start recognizing and appreciating the differences between ourselves and not look for sameness, white sameness within everybody, then we have a much better chance of creating a real and meaningful integration. I wanted to get some of that in the song.
Putting on the black tie, looking out the white noise. Oh Lord, just let him see me. Lord, Lord, yeah. Let him hear me. Let him call me brother. Let him put his arms around me. Let him put his hands together. Reach out over race and hold but I wonder why. Yes, I wonder why sometimes. Putting on the black tie, cracking out the white. They'll show us how to break the rules, but never how to make the rules. Reduce us down to witless punks. Fascist cries, both black and white. Who's got the blood? Who's got the blood? Cracking out the white. Ooh, yeah. Cracking out to the 50. Cracking out. Ooh, yeah. Cracking out white. Baby, yeah. Cracking out. Cracking out. Cracking out the white. To the moon. Cracking out. To the moon. Cracking out. To the moon. Cracking out
Everything that I do musically has to be something that I feel absolutely happy with artistically. That if I have a sense of pleasure and fulfillment with it, then that is the work that I had intended doing in the first place. Most recently, we lost tragically to the illness of cancer. Great friend Mick Ronson, who was the lead guitar player with my first successful band, Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders. I was fortunate enough to know Mick right until the end of his life. And in the last year of that life, I'd gotten back very closely with him.
That's great. Was it difficult?
Well, no, they were wonderful. They were absolutely wonderful. When Mick and I first worked with the Spiders, one of our songs that we'd do as an encore was the Cream's I Feel Free. We didn't think we did it very well. We, in fact, only did it once. So Mick Ronson and I decided to do, after 20 years, actually put I Feel Free onto tape. And that's the version that we did on Black Tie, White Noise. I think the best rule for me, personally, is that if I feel a little unsafe where I'm going, then I'm going in the right direction. Feeling comfortable with what I'm doing, something's wrong. There was quite a lot of accidents, in musical accidents, working with Niall, which I adore and I encourage tremendously. If something goes wrong and it sounds great, I'll say, that's wonderful. Now repeat it 3 times. Getting back with Niall again was, again, one of the many... throughout my life, I've always been enamored of the amount of coincidence that's occurred. I'm not particularly superstitious, but it always seems that things will naturally follow their course.
Like you said before, David, like a good blast. It should be pretty violent, right?
There's the word. Niall says violent, Lester. Unlike the first album that we did together, Let's Dance, which I think really was more Niall's album than mine, in a way. It was sort of Niall's kind of vision of what my music should sound like, and I provided the songs. This time around, it was more my vision of what my album was going to sound like, and Niall provided the buoyancy and the enthusiasm for the project. Why I like working with Niall so much is that he does let the artist go through his own thing. And if the artist has some quite definite ideas, Niall will roll with those and just help get them activated.
D minor.
D minor. Oh, okay.
G. Right. Right.
So we're not getting the beginning part or anything?
Yeah, we're forgetting the first 2
Right,
verses.
okay.
I made the thing into 4 verses, you see. 2 sung, 1 solo verse, and then a sung verse, and then the out. Not as tyrannical as I used to be, but there's something I look for in the rhythm section. And I'm fairly authoritative about what I want. And
This is where you wanted me to go like crazy around there.
yeah. But you've got it, really. You're really covered. I know pretty much what the rhythm track should sound like. But once that's accomplished, I really leave it up to the top-level lead musicians to push themselves as far as they can. There's nothing better than watching a musician surprise himself. And when he, oh, that's really, what have I done there? That's the point, that's the magic of recording. We've got all the aggression that we want to know, coupled with the gentle thing on the first 3. Yeah.
Plus, my favorite thing was he says, "Well, I'm just guessing through it." I love it.
I want music to create an alternative or a counter atmosphere to what's already existing. I think everything is a labyrinthine existence that we live, and so that it makes sense for me to put together elements in a song which wouldn't naturally be good bedfellows. If you hear an accident 3 times, it's an arrangement. It takes on a different context entirely. Pieces of information that don't naturally gel well with each other. I always thought of the English singer-songwriter Morrissey as a sort of a sexual Alan Bennett, British playwright. Because of his attention to detail, he'll take a small subject matter and make a very grandiose statement of it. His last album, Your Arsenal, was produced, ironically, by Mick Ronson. And Mick sent me a copy of the tape, and I couldn't but notice that one of the songs on the album, I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday, was a kind of a parody of one of my earlier songs, Rock and Roll Suicide. The suicide bit.
Okay.
And so I sort of thought it would be fun to take that song and do it the way I would have done it in 1974-ish.
never arrives, and it's never seemed so far away. But I know it's gonna happen someday to you. Please wait. Please wait. Wait, don't lose faith. Don't lose faith, don't lose faith. You say that the day never arrives, and it seems so far away. But I know it's gonna happen someday.
There comes a point where you just have to sort of let go and say, well, that's my album. I've made it available. I've done some public things for it. And it'll just do what it does.